Ladies, welcome back to another episode of Women Behind the Weights.
Welcome to the Women Behind the Weights podcast, where we empower and inspire women to lift both weights and their voices. Each week, we explore the incredible journeys of women who are breaking barriers in the fitness world and making their mark. Join us for insightful discussions, inspiring stories, and practical tips that you can apply in your own life. Whether you're a seasoned athlete or just starting your fitness journey, there's something here for everyone. Tune in to discover the stories that will ignite your passion, uplift your spirit, and remind you that you are lady strong. Let's lift each other up, one conversation at a time.
If you guys had joined us last week, we had officially announced the Transformation Roadmap. So if you haven't had the opportunity to watch that episode, please do so. We encourage you to, because we're going to do a spin-off from last week. So you'll be slightly confused if you have not seen
watch
last
part one,
week's.
even though it's not titled part one.
So you can probably tell by the look of the screen, we're going to talk about each stage of the Transformation Roadmap. There's 3 stages. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive in, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is explaining each stage, the constraints of each stage, how to graduate from those constraints, and what would be the next steps after that. So there are 3 stages. We'll start with Foundation Builder.
Yeah.
Brittany?
Stage 1, beginner. So I'm going to have it pulled up on my phone too, so I don't have to keep looking back.
fine.
But so you'll notice on the quiz, there are 4 questions that you have to go through. And depending on how you answer your questions, you get one of these 3 stages. So if you answer the questions in a way that you get Foundation Builder, the constraints of a Foundation Builder, like the screen says, is that you're not working out very often. You're unsure where to begin when it comes to strength training, find it confusing, overwhelming, and you currently don't track or pay any kind of attention to your nutrition at this point.
Yeah, I think that before we get into those constraints, we find that a lot of the people that are newer, that are coming inside our studio are at this stage. I would say it's very frequent that you would find our existing members that are
being Foundation Builder.
Correct.
Yeah, unless you're brand new to the gym.
That is correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you found yourself, I will say though, after looking through some of the quiz results and the names that are in some of them, we do have some members that have been with us for a while that are Foundation Builders. And that could be just that you maybe were on track, you fell off track, and that's where you felt like you needed to answer the questions honestly and put yourself in that stage. Right, wrong, or indifferent, there's no good or bad stage. Let's just put that out there. It's just a good starting point. So Foundation Builder would be considered our beginner. And we do see a lot of women who come to us in the Foundation Builder stage, which is a really critical stage. I feel like it is a really critical stage for women because a lot of it is, I've tried other things. I start and stop a lot. I'm very confused about stuff. I don't even know where to start. Maybe I've never even lifted a weight in my life. I've done other things, but I've never strength trained before. And then I know nothing about nutrition. Protein, what's protein? Like, I don't, I know I need to eat it, but I don't know how much of it. So that's really your Foundation Builder stage.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I would like to say that there isn't a right or wrong to each stage. And what I mean by that, I don't want you to feel guilty that you're in that stage. There's a starting point for everyone. So you have to start somewhere. And I would consider, and I think this is a great 2-word theme, Foundation Builder, because that's exactly what it is. You can't move on to any other stage until you built the foundation and making sure that base is very much so like rooted before you're able to build upon that.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. So if you're in the Foundation Builder stage, you are one of those people who needs that extra guidance. You need that extra support. If you are currently a member, those are the people that, maybe you want to get on a phone call with me. I have a lot of calls booked this next week to go over roadmaps, and many of them are Foundation Builders and helping you guys understand like what resources are available to you, whether they are an investment or they're free. We have a lot of different resources here at Lady Strong to help you wherever you are, but especially Foundation Builders. Is our job as a Green Squad to make sure that you understand the stage that you're in at this point as a Foundation Builder and what your next steps need to be.
Yeah, I will say, if I have to give this one word to describe how to graduate from any constraints within this stage, it's all about consistency. You're just used to starting and stopping and starting and stopping and getting frustrating and trying different things and not really knowing what to do. So being able to sit down with one of our Green Squad team members and actually set that plan and putting it into action and making sure you're giving it a fair shot without giving up within the first several weeks. It's all about doing the boredom, doing the bored shit is what one of our mentors would say, but it's so true. So I need you to just refresh and reset your mindset in a different way of thinking, irregardless of what you've done in the past with us or without us. It's just more or less being able to trust the process and what's being prescribed based upon your customized or personal roadmap to get you to that next level. So even though you might think like I've tried that before, but just really have self-integrity and ask yourself, but do you though? Do I do every single thing over the course of 6 to 12 weeks? And then when that 6 to 12 weeks end up coming, you look back and you can say, I did it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm getting too deep rooted into the meat and potato, but I really want people to understand, like, I don't want people to point fingers. I really don't. I just want you to just take a step back and have a self-reflection and really be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I doing all the right things that are needed in order to be successful within my fitness and wellness journey? Because I'm the first one to blame myself if anything goes wrong. It's like I look back and I say, did I do everything that was necessary to get the job done? So that's where I'm getting at.
Yeah. So anyways, foundation builders. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but foundation builders, you guys are the ones who have to take this thing one day at a time, reach out for help, ask for support, and just make sure that, again, like you're working on building the foundation, the solid habits, the consistency, the routine, the things that are going to give you that solid base to move to.
I want to pause right here for a second because I don't want to skip over something important. The Stronger Transformation Roadmap Booklet. This is not just a booklet you receive and put to the wayside. It's a tool that helps guide you through your transformation. And you are not going through it alone. Your accountability coach will mentor you through the different parts of the booklet week by week. There may be homework, reflections, questions, or assignments that connect to where you are in the program. That's what makes this powerful. You're not just flipping through the pages, you're being guided, challenged, supported, and held accountable through the process. I'm not going to go through every detail because I want you to experience it for yourself inside the program. But do want you to know this booklet was created with intention. It helps you reflect, stay focused, understand your growth, and connect with stronger version of yourself that you are becoming. Now, because transformation is just not about changing your body, it's also about changing your mindset, your habits, your confidence, your discipline, and the way you show up for yourself. So, as I'm flipping through these pages, just know this booklet is a part of something that is a full transformation experience. It helps bring the roadmap to life. Now, let's get back into the stages of the roadmap.
To the next level, which would be hybrid performer, which I think is a good segue to that one.
It is. I'm going to say one last thing is that I want to stress on that. You said ask for help. And I really want people to ask for help. So that's that. Yes. In regards to the hybrid performer, we did notice majority, if not the bulk of people that went through the quiz already was at this stage. And this is for a lot of our existing membership base that we have, which is good. That says a lot about you in general. But you can see based upon the screen, Brittany, I don't want to have to crook my neck, but I want you to exactly read what that constraint is.
Yeah. So you're fairly consistent, but haven't been seeing the results you want. You understand the basics of strength training, yet feel stuck on how to progress and sometimes question your motivation or abilities. You try to eat healthy, but you aren't consistent.
So here's what I have to say about this, and then you can kind of piggyback on it. Where I see, based on my observations, based on working with a lot of women over the last several years, and also based upon the PDF that you also receive, it's all about balance. Sometimes in this stage, people have a tendency to almost overdo things and they think they need more, and they're constantly adding more cardio, adding more strength, doing, hoping that that's going to fix the problem, and that's not it. Doing more isn't going to make it better. It's doing the quality work is what's going to make it better, and making sure it's the right type of work that needs to be done. Because a perfect example, one of the people that I worked with was in this stage, and they were doing all the workouts 4 or 5 times a week, but they weren't doing all the other additives that were needed. So my one word thing is not about doing more. In this particular instance, I don't want to say it's about doing quality. So quality is your word for this stage here. For me, my personal
Quality
preference,
over quantity.
Quality over quality. Quality, and one last word, balance. Making sure everything is balanced. Not making sure you have all the workouts and not the nutrition like it says in the constraints. You have to have balance. So I would put balance before quality. So it'll be balance, then quality.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely the stage where having extra coaching support becomes really critical. because a lot of times you are in this stage, I believe it's the stage where you have seen results, but they kind of start to plateau a little bit because you're doing all the different things that you think you're doing right. But like Marcia said, you're missing some of the critical pieces that are going to move you past that next level. And sometimes you need another set of eyes to look at your routine, to look at what you're doing and go, actually, these are the adjustments we need to make. And if we can make those adjustments, then we're going to be able to see progress. I would say a lot of the people that I start to work with start out as hybrid performers and then become performance builders because they get that consistent routine, they get that support, and they get that help, and they get that kind of like, okay, now I know what I need to be doing. Like you said, I'm balancing everything, my nutrition, my recovery, my workouts. Everything is feeling good. Now I feel like I'm at that next level where it's like, okay, now I need to progress in my workout.
Yeah,
So
they have the consistency of the foundation builder, but it's like, let's build upon that consistency by adding the balance and the quality of work that's needed to get to that next level.
Yeah.
So if you guys did get your PDFs, I would encourage you to really reflect and look back on that if this is something you're choosing to do on your own, which is perfectly fine. But knowing what parts you're picking and choosing, if you know you have one mastered, obviously don't put more emphasis on that and start working on those weaknesses and trying to make them your strengths.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
So cool. So shall we move on to performance builder?
Performance builder.
Performance builder is, I fall into this category, so I can speak a lot about it. So I'll try not to bore you too much, but the one word that I would say for this one is all about precision. It's you have the consistency mastered, you have the balance mastered, you understand nutrition and how to count macros and log, and maybe you're doing it consistently, but you don't know necessarily if what you're doing is actually working. And what I mean by that is like making sure the macros that you have is the right balance for what you're trying to accomplish. If it's like building muscle or building endurance or whatever, that you just need to make sure you have the right prescription. It's like when you go to the doctor, right? And the doctor tells you based on your diagnosis, this is what you need, versus you trying to diagnose yourself, not knowing if that's necessarily the right thing for you.
Right. Yeah, I think with performance builders, like the other word that comes to mind is strategy, precision and strategy. There's a lot of strategy around your nutrition in this stage. There's a lot of strategy around your workouts and how to progress with your lifts. I think there's just a lot of strategy because you have mastered the basics. You've mastered the intermediate stuff. And now you're at this level where it's like, I've got all the wheels are turning the way that they need to be. But then if I really want to kind of take it up a notch, or I want to change my body composition, or I want to change my performance in the gym, it is more strategic. The changes you make have to be a lot smaller and a lot more precise because you have, it's like when your body gets used to workouts, to get used to nutrition, there are certain things that you have to do to get it to go to the next level, to lose more weight, to lose more fat, to build more strength. And then it comes down to the precision and the strategy with your nutrition and your workout.
Yeah, that was a shout out to Amanda Clapp, by the way, because I did work with her. I had the opportunity, you guys probably seen her testimonial over the beta test, and she is a performance builder, and she mastered. She's like, I have all the workouts mastered down. I know how to do, progressive overload and tempo training and making sure when to go heavy and things like that. But the biggest thing for her is because of the type of profession that she has as a nurse and working like 16, 18-hour shifts on some days, getting that food intake is really hard for her. So she's got to be very precise on how to get all of her calories in per day. So it might not, I'm just piggybacking off of what you said, because in her particular instance, it's not the strategy of the progressive overload training. For her, it's the strategy of the nutrition. So it just depends on the person. It depends on their lifestyle. So again, precision and strategy is the biggest key when trying to get to this next level.
Yeah.
So I guess for me in particular, just based upon everything that we've been hearing inside the studio, based upon we're seeing the quiz results, Brittany did mention it in the previous episode, but I want to mention it again, is making sure you do have self-integrity when answering those questions, because ultimately we want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and not failure. And it's really hard to do that when you're not really answering
honestly.
Yes, for sure.
And I would say honestly, mostly around the nutrition.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that
let's kind of talk about that a little bit, because I think it's important. Why do you think people are answering the question the way that they are? Is it maybe in their thought process they are eating clean? Because eating clean to me might be different for other people.
Here's how I see all three stages when it comes to nutrition.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just don't want to forget, but go ahead.
Yeah. So when I think of a foundation builder, you're not doing anything with food. You're not tracking, you're not meal prepping, you're not doing any of it. Okay, foundation builders really aren't doing any of it. Maybe you've done Weight Watchers in the past. Maybe you've, dabbled in MyFitnessPal, but there's nothing that you're doing with nutrition right now at all. Hyper performers, for me, they understand macros. Maybe they're tracking here and there, but on the weekends they don't track at all. Maybe they meal prep sometimes, but then they forget. So like they have a basic understanding of like how to track my food and like how to meal prep and the basic understanding of that. Okay. Performance builders to me understand macros. They track their calories 7 days out of the week. They understand nutrition at a higher level. Like that to me with the nutrition stuff, that would be the categories when I look at nutrition.
Okay. I do know what I was going to say is that if you're a performance builder and you track, but you're not tracking to where you're hitting your macros like dead on every single day, that could be a difference in how you might answer that question as well. So just because you track, that's good, but it's not precise. And again, that goes back to the precision where it's not consistent. I wouldn't technically consider that tracking consistently if you're tracking your food, but you're not necessarily hitting your targets the way that you should every day. Then that answer to that number 4 question when it comes to consistently tracking,
right?
It could be,
and that's why I said hybrid performers are like you track, but it's like you track Monday through Friday and a half, and then Friday night, Saturday, Sunday you don't, and it's like okay, but that's not consistently and intentionally.
No, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, they track Monday through Sunday. But even tracking Monday through Sunday, they're not necessarily hitting the macros like if they go over or under, meaning they're not at the precise target in the middle every single time. That's what I meant by that. So they're tracking Monday through Sunday, but they're not precise with the tracking, meaning they're tracking every day, but they're not hitting the macro targets that they need to be hitting every single day. And that's just based on the conversation that you and I had with a potential person that you and I may be working with currently. So I guess we're putting a lot of stress and emphasis around because again, at the end of the day, we want you guys to be successful. And if we could provide you as much information as possible. So some of the key takeaways again from each station is making sure like you have the consistency, right? You have the quality, you have the balance, you have the precision, and you have the PDS to look back to and to get the extra help or strategy from one of myself. Again, I think it's important too. We need to talk about this because this is such a new program. And it's at a sensitive state right now because it's new and we want to make sure that this thing like goes off without a hitch. You're going to be working closely with either Brittany or myself when it comes to speaking with you one-on-one and discussing your roadmaps and the next stage and or steps within your fitness and wellness journey. So it's something that we can't necessarily hand off to our team if we don't necessarily know how to do ourselves. And we did that through the beta test, but it's one of the things we want to continue to do. And I think that's important to share with you guys. So just know that you're in great hands. We want to be able to just, at the end of the day, just make sure that we get you to that next stage. And I think it's also important too, to talk about what happens when you do get to the performance builder and you graduate it from those constraints. And a perfect person is Amanda Clapp. And I only say that because we have this conversation. Amanda's like, I could go somewhere else, but I love it. And she's like, even though like I used to be like a foundation builder and I came in and now I'm a performance builder, she's like, you guys still give us the necessary tools as a performance builder to be successful and to be able to continue in my journey. So it's just one of those things like, yeah, we'd love for you to stay. And if you find that you're still being challenged and you're still being pushed outside of a performance builder, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to stick around and stay. But outside of that, that's all I have. I thought you were looking at me like, are you? I was
wondering, making sure there's nothing.
No, this is it. So we talked about the 3 stages. We talked about what keeps those women stuck at each of those stages, what happens after that, or what needs to be discussed in order to graduate, which is going off of the PDF or setting up a strategy session with myself or Brittany. And again, if you guys don't know how to set up the strategy session, reach out to the front desk. If you're new and you're just tuning in, make sure to take advantage of the quiz. We'll put it across the screen like we did last week. And you can also in the clip notes, if you're catching it in an audio version or the video version, there's going to be a link to where you can get or take advantage of that personalized roadmap. So that's all I have. I don't know if you want to add anything at all, Brittany, but
I think that's it.
We're super appreciative because we had a lot of people interacting over the last week when it comes to the transformation roadmap. And we would love to see more people get into this outside of just Lady Strong Fitness, if you're just new and joining in and learning more about us, make sure to take advantage of that personalized roadmap and going to that link that's either on the screen or in the cliff notes that you see down below. So with that being said, ladies, have a blessed day, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Women Behind the Weights. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Women Behind the Weights podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights from today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more women like you. Don't forget to connect with us on social media for behind-the-scenes content and to join our growing community. Remember, we're all in this together, and every step you take brings you closer to your goals. Until next time, keep lifting those weights and your voices. You've got this.